A genre of game that I really enjoy, but I'm absolutely atrocious at, is the bridge builder. I really enjoy these games. I don't build good bridges, and I don't build very creative ones, oddly, which is strange for me because I really like the idea of level building and all of that kind of stuff, but I struggle with a bridge builder. And Polybridge 3 has solved multiple problems for me that I've had playing its previous iterations, but also other bridge builders, in helping me be able to get out of falling on the same old tricks time and time and time again, and replicating the same style of bridge regardless of what problem is thrown at me. And it's done from the ground up, and what I would describe Polybridge 3 as is a game that is a single player experience that puts you in a community of like-minded folk to borrow, beg and steal all their different ideas and come up with your own crazy concoctions, and it makes the game feel truly immersive and really community based in a way that I didn't really expect a bridge building game to go. In Polybridge 3 you're building various different bridges. Shock horror. There's a good 150 level campaign for you to kind of wander through, and it's built into bridges of 10 with each mission got their own little things that you need to do. In order to basically pass the mission initially, you just need to be able to build a bridge that doesn't fall over and gets the vehicles from A to B and sometimes back to A again. But there'll be various different things in your path that will try and stop you doing so. So it could be that there's vehicles that are passing above and below the bridge, such as planes, fighter jets, submarines, boats, cruise ships, whatever it is. They are coming, and you need to make sure that you build the bridge out as best as possible. And thankfully, some really handy silhouettes tell you where you need to kind of dodge and weave your way through. The other thing that's really quite cool about this is that each mission is judged on several different traits. So you'll have a budget that you'll want to try and get underneath so that you can then score more points, that then opens up more levels further on down the line. But you're also tested on things like stress load. So if you build a bridge that's cheap but it's high stress, depending on where you fit onto the online leaderboard, which it shows you at the end of each level, you might be in the top 10% of cost, but you'll be in the bottom 10% in terms of stress load because you're really balancing that fine line. And what I really liked was to see where I stacked up compared to other creators. And I found that my bridges were the lowest in stress, but always the most expensive and just getting under that budget range. And it oddly found myself going, right, let's try a cheapo version. And so levels became oddly replayable from different perspectives. And I really enjoyed that aspect. The other thing, going back to this whole feeling like it's a single player game as part of a wider community, is that you're constantly given different ways to see and experience what other players have done with that same level, because players can upload a quick low-res video that you can then download to see exactly what their final version of something was. And then in a different way, you're able to access hints from blueprints from other people who have uploaded theirs too. And it comes out like a silhouette onto your screen. Now, you still have to go around and physically build it, but it's almost like a get out of jail free card when you're really stuck for some kind of inspiration. And yes, you'll have to then make sure that you don't just copy paste the whole thing. But what I found was that once I'd kind of completed a bridge one way, I was busy looking at everyone else's submissions and thinking, Christ, you've all got much more creativity than I have for this thing. And then that would get me thinking, right, okay, what if I use a pulley system in this way? Or there's a new material in this game this time around called foundations, which are hugely expensive. And so you're always trying to make sure that you put in the lowest foundation possible so that you can still have a bridge point to support the bridge, but you aren't spending so much money building it high up. Obviously, doing so increases the amount of cost that your bridge is, but it reduces generally the load and complexity of your bridge if you spend that money. But I was sitting there thinking, right, I don't have to be so split everything in half and be so regimented. I'd almost American blocked myself into the bridge design. And seeing people come up with all of these weird and wonderful creative ways was really freeing to then go, I'll have a go. And it was that enjoyment that really enhanced Polybridge 3 for me. The level designs and the challenges that you have to face are constantly varied. They're well themed. They switch up very often, and it really builds on your general understanding of how you're building a bridge and the physics engine that Polybridge runs with, which feels very well defined and obvious. The more you play with it, the more you understand its nooks and crannies, and it makes a lot of sense. The other thing that I'd say is that whenever a bridge falls over, it always tells you where the first snap occurred from, which is always a good indicator of something that you need to strengthen. And the other thing that I really want to commend Polybridge 3 for is just the ease of how you can build something. The controls in this game and the different like snap on, snap off and like triangulate options are really, really helpful. So if you want to build a road and you're just going in a straight line, or if you want to have a very specific gradient, you just point the mouse at where your endpoint is and you just keep clicking and it will get there perfectly in a straight line. However, you can then put in a curve function which allows you to put in a start and end point and then manipulate the curve to do its own little weird thing. And you can almost like do loop the loops and things like that with it if you really want to. But it's so simple and easy to then bend a bridge round or a road round that you can then build support structures on afterwards. The triangulate option was something that I was living for during this entire game, because so much of your wood structuring that you do will be in triangles, and it just makes so much sense to turn it on and off at those specific moments. And being able to see like how far your pulley systems will go was really, really helpful too. And the same for things like attaching ropes and seeing just exactly like how far they will go, steel beams as well. It just makes so much sense and is really simple to build, and probably the most intuitive control system and tool system that I've seen in a bridge building game, for me personally anyway. Not only do you get all of this, it's got Steam Workshop, so people are on there putting on all kinds of levels, and I was downloading and having a good laugh, seeing how terrible I was at those, but then also seeing the weird and creative ways how people do bridge building in this game. There are autoplay levels where you just watch something kind of complete various different stunts, for example, because there's a whole like stunt section in this game as well. Depending on the different vehicles that you choose. You can build your own levels, obviously, and the level editor is very well put together and quite intuitive to get up and running with. Obviously, you need to be able to validate your options before you put it online, so you need to be good at the game to be able to do that. But the tools are all there to build an absolutely magnificent community, and there's hundreds of levels on there already, many with very high star ratings, that just enable you to filter and search for whatever it is that you're looking for. Do you want an auto-played level? Do you want one that's all about stunts? Do you want levels with certain types of equipment or structures or tools of the trade like available? There's so many different filters and ways to go about finding the levels that you want. It's been really well thought out. And again, you've got all of that community elements there too, by being able to pull in other people's blueprints, see the videos of what people have done for their creations and then uploaded it. This game looks like it's in a 2D plane whenever you're just looking at it. But when you actually go into like drive mode and you're watching things, it's fully 3D like diorama that you can spin around. And I love the cute aesthetic of this game too. It really lends itself well to the Polybridge vibe. And yeah, I just cannot say enough good things about this game. I genuinely think this is my favourite bridge builder ever. Probably like a big statement to make. And whilst maybe like Bridge Constructor Portal had obviously the good Portal vibes and a lot of good humour there, for just the sheer ease and diversity of what's available in this game, Polybridge 3 absolutely nails it. So yeah, this gets the Smithy seal of approval. If you've never played a bridge builder game before, this is the one to go for because of that ease, community spirit, and just the help that it gives you to really kind of go, aha! And I feel much more brainy having now played this game, which can never be a bad thing. Polybridge 3, out now on PC. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.